A quick demonstration of the forced auto stop function, which I've managed to integrate in a sort of fashion. This is the gauge in the manual mode, just after turning ignition on, engine's not running. Now, by holding the button over to the right for more than 2 seconds, that initiates the engine start cycle. Your foot doesn't need to be on the clutch, and obviously but it'll only operate when the engine is stopped. So if I do that now, you get a proper engine start cycle. See the brief message on the screen, and the engine starts up using the IMA. Now if I press it over to the left, which is towards the regen direction, we get the engine stop cycle, which basically forces maximum regen for about half a second, stalling the engine. Heard that there, the engine stopped now. Start again, press the button over to the right, press the button back over to the left, stall it again. So that seems to work like a forced auto stop function of a fashion. I haven't quite worked out whether to include the clutch switch in this at the moment. At the moment it just works on the button, so it could operate in gear, so you'd have to be a little bit careful about that. The other function I've discovered is that when it's in the normal mode and sitting there with ignition on, normally the DC to DC converter in the car doesn't operate, so the lights would gradually go down. But I found by just incrementing regen or assist by 1 unit, by pressing it down for instance by 1, you see that's changed to 49, that activates the DC to DC converter, which is now working, although you can't see that. The scan gauge is now showing 13.9 volts, and the charge light on the OEM gauge, on the OEM display, the battery light, has gone off. Now if I disengage that, go back to 50 duty cycle, the battery light has come on the main dashboard. If I go the other way, just by 1 point, again the battery light's gone off and the DC to DC converter is operational. That's quite interesting. So you can manipulate the DC to DC converter, or force it to come on anyway, by just moving away from no assist or no regen, which is quite interesting. The other functions are as you've already seen. If I press and hold the mode button, go into cruise mode, and this operates as I described yesterday. Press and hold it again, STS blink mode, and the lights on the dashboard are now blinking to indicate any stored codes. Back to manual mode, and as you can hear, the engine's off at the minute, so I'll just start it again. Button over to the right, engine start, button over to the left, engine stop. And of course you can always do regen once the engine is running. So if I start the engine, then I can add some regen, gradually adding a bit of regen. Engine at tick over. Engine's labouring as it adjusts itself a little bit more. 5 amps now, might just stand one more. 6 amps of regen now, go one more. 8 amps of regen, see if it'll go one more. Oh, it's really labouring now, and it's stalled. So there we are, I've stalled it, so I'll start it again. Button over to the right, engine start. So there we are, a few basic functions. Its software's coming along, a little bit untidy at the moment, but as you would expect, but the functions certainly seem to work. Keep you updated.